Welcome back to Who Died Today USA channel. In the past few days, we have received somber news about the passing of extraordinary talents. Today's episode is dedicated to honoring their memory. Additionally, we will recap the stars we have recently lost. Before we begin, we kindly ask for your support. If this video or the legacies of these remarkable individuals have touched your life, please consider giving this video a thumbs up as a sign of respect and remembrance. Thank you.
Like to see the world and want to survive.
Our next story is about a deeply admired and enigmatic figure in Hollywood, a man of immense talent and mystery. Of course, we're talking about Val Kilmer. From the cockpit of Top Gun to the depths of Jim Morrison's tortured soul, Kilmer left an unforgettable mark on film. How about you? Do you have a favorite Val Kilmer role? From 0 to 10, how would you rate his performances over the years? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear what made Val Kilmer unforgettable to you. On April 1st, 2025, the world lost a truly gifted actor. Val Kilmer died at age 65 in Los Angeles due to complications from pneumonia after a long and public battle with throat cancer that had changed both his voice and his life. His daughter, actress Mercedes Kilmer, confirmed the heartbreaking news. It was a devastating moment for fans who had followed not just his iconic career, but his courageous fight for life. Born Val Edward Kilmer on New Year's Eve 1959 in Los Angeles' San Fernando Valley, Kilmer's path to stardom began early. He was the youngest person ever accepted to Juilliard's prestigious drama program. He made his Broadway debut in Slab Boys alongside Sean Penn and Kevin Bacon, and quickly transitioned to film with a memorable role in Top Secret, 1984. Kilmer exploded into the Hollywood spotlight as Iceman in Top Gun, 1986, opposite Tom Cruise. His icy confidence and commanding presence made him an instant star. From there, he took on roles that showcased his chameleon-like ability to embody complex characters. He stunned audiences as the tormented rock god Jim Morrison in Oliver Stone's The Doors, 1991, earning widespread acclaim for both his performance and uncanny vocal mimicry. "I wanted to win more Oscars than anyone," Kilmer once said in a reflective interview. But it wasn't about the awards, it was about being loved. This vulnerable confession came after his cancer battle, a time when he began to reassess the meaning of fame, success, and personal fulfillment. Kilmer also left a lasting impression in Tombstone, 1993, delivering a haunting portrayal of Doc Holliday that many still consider one of the greatest performances in modern Western cinema. He brought elegance to Batman Forever, 1995, sensual menace to The Saint, 1997, and clever wit to Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, 2005. He even lent his voice to Kit in the Knight Rider reboot. Through it all, Kilmer was fearless, pushing himself into every role with an intensity that could be both mesmerizing and intimidating. But behind the scenes, the Hollywood icon was battling more than just demanding roles. In 2015, Kilmer was diagnosed with throat cancer. He kept the news private for years, undergoing tracheal surgery that altered his voice and made breathing difficult. In the moving 2021 documentary Val, he allowed the world to see the raw truth of his condition, the tubes, the silence, the struggle, but also the courage. Despite it all, Kilmer continued to create. He directed and starred in Citizen Twain, a one-man stage show he later adapted for film. He also made a powerful return in Top Gun, Maverick, 2022, where his character Iceman was given a voice through technology and emotion. "There was love in that scene," a critic noted. "You could feel the weight of history, pain, and mutual respect between Iceman and Maverick." Kilmer's journey was not only personal, but also deeply connected to his family. He was a proud father to Mercedes and Jack, both of whom have pursued careers in the arts. "Fame is a mess," he once said, "but I'm so proud of the people my kids are becoming." In the darkest moments of his illness, their love and resilience became his anchor. "We were in the hospital at the same time," Mercedes recalled, after a car accident left her seriously injured. "Jack and I were just there, with him, together." Faith also played a central role in Kilmer's life. As a devoted Christian Scientist, he relied on spiritual healing as well as medical intervention. "I used to take things too seriously," he admitted in his final years. "Now I know it's about love, being loved, giving love." In 2017, he opened up about his disappointment with how his career unfolded. He never received an Oscar nomination, something that once deeply hurt him. But as his perspective evolved, so did his priorities. He focused more on his art, his family, and his legacy, not as a movie star, but as a man. Val Kilmer's death reminds us of the fragility of life and the resilience of the human spirit. Though his voice was silenced, his impact on cinema and on the hearts of his fans will echo for generations. So, how did Val Kilmer's performances shape your view of cinema? Did his roles in Batman, Top Gun, or The Doors leave a lasting impression on you? Let's honor his legacy in the comments below. And remember, the man who, through triumph and illness, never stopped creating, dreaming, and giving everything to his art.
You describe a white silk scarf in your book.
I've always had a fondness for white silk scarves. They're good for...
Dennis Arndt was a gifted American actor, born on February 23, 1939, in Issaquah, Washington. Before gaining recognition in the entertainment industry, Arndt served as a helicopter pilot during the Vietnam War, where he was awarded 2 Purple Hearts and a Commendation Medal for his bravery. His journey into acting was far from traditional. He began performing at a local theater in Seattle and later became a founding member of the Intiman Theater. Tragically, Dennis Arndt passed away at the age of 86 at his rustic cabin in Ashland, Oregon. So what happened during the final days of his life? Arndt gained recognition for his compelling work in television, particularly in collaborations with renowned producer David E. Kelley. He had recurring roles in hit series such as L.A. Law, Picket Fences, Ally McBeal, and The Practice. On the big screen, he is remembered for his small but memorable appearance as one of the detectives in the iconic interrogation scene in Basic Instinct, 1992. In 2016, at the age of 77, Arndt made a remarkable Broadway debut in Heisenberg, starring opposite Mary Louise Parker. His poignant portrayal of Alex Priest earned him a Tony Award nomination for Best Actor in a Play, marking a late-career triumph that won over critics and audiences alike. Tragically, Dennis Arndt passed away on March 25, 2025, at the age of 86 at his cabin home in Ashland, Oregon. Though the cause of death was not specified, his passing was peacefully announced by family. He leaves behind a rich legacy of thoughtful performances and a message to follow your passion, a motto he lived by and embodied through his art. Bruce Glover, the eccentric and memorable actor best known for his role as the sinister Mr. Wint in the James Bond film Diamonds Are Forever, 1971, has died at the age of 92. The news was confirmed by his son, actor Crispin Glover, via Instagram on March 12, 2025. No cause of death was immediately disclosed. A true original, Glover brought an unmistakable presence to every role he played. As one half of the eerie assassin duo Mr. Wint and Mr. Kidd, he helped create one of the most unusual and enduring villain pairings in the Bond franchise. With a strange charm and quiet menace, Glover's performance in Diamonds Are Forever remains a standout in spy cinema history. Born in Chicago in 1932, Glover served in the U.S. Army before entering the world of acting. Despite never attending formal acting school, he performed in hundreds of stage productions and appeared alongside theater legends like Bette Davis and Anne Bancroft on Broadway. His film credits include acclaimed titles like Chinatown, Hard Times, and the Walking Tall series, among many others. Throughout his career, Glover embraced the unusual and the unexpected. "If I am anything as an actor, it is that I will never be the usual," he once said. With a career spanning decades and defined by originality, Bruce Glover leaves behind a legacy of unforgettable characters and fearless artistry, and a final message to live life fully and laugh when you can.
Almost got me. What am I paying you idiots for? He almost got me that time!
Richard Norton, an Australian martial arts expert, actor, stuntman, and longtime friend of Chuck Norris, earned a fierce reputation in action films over decades of outstanding performances. Tragically, he has passed away at the age of 75. Do you know what happened to him? Born on January 6, 1950, in Croydon, a suburb of Sydney, Norton began practicing judo at age 11, later expanding into karate, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and other disciplines. Early on, he teamed up with Bob Jones to train security personnel in Melbourne, which eventually led to 2 decades working as a bodyguard for musical giants like the Rolling Stones, ABBA, David Bowie, and Fleetwood Mac. His entry into film came through Chuck Norris, whom he met in 1976. Norton made his screen debut as the masked ninja Kyo in The Octagon, 1980, locking swords with Norris. From there, he took on roles in Twinkle, Twinkle, Lucky Stars, 1985, City Hunter, 1993, Mr. Nice Guy, 1997, and teamed up repeatedly with Cynthia Rothrock in China O'Brien, Lady Dragon, and Rage and Honor. Norton didn't just act. He choreographed fight scenes for Walker, Texas Ranger, The Condemned, Mad Max, Fury Road, The Suicide Squad, and trained stars like Scarlett Johansson, Margot Robbie, Ben Affleck, and Charlize Theron. "I always loved the dance of martial arts in film," he once said. "When it clicks, it's like music." With his charisma, skill, and signature intensity, Richard Norton became a defining presence in action cinema and an inspiration to generations of martial artists and movie lovers alike. His wife, Judy, confirmed his passing over the weekend via an emotional Instagram post. No further details were shared regarding the cause of death.
My last 3 hours and 47 minutes.
I thought so. You have that last day look in your eye.
Richard Chamberlain, the dashing star who captured hearts as the beloved doctor. Kildare and later became the face of epic television miniseries like Shogun and The Thornbirds, has died. He was 90. Tragically, Chamberlain passed away on Saturday night, March 29, 2025, at his home in Waimanalo, Hawaii, from complications following a stroke, his publicist confirmed. He was just 2 days shy of his 91st birthday. Chamberlain's career soared in the early 1960s when he was cast as the kind-hearted and handsome young intern James Kildare on NBC's Dr. Kildare. The show ran for 5 seasons and made him a household name, earning him more fan mail than any MGM star before him. "Being thought to be very attractive, I thought that was just great," he once said. He redefined his image in the 1970s and 80s, leading ambitious, high-profile miniseries that helped shape the format. In Shogun, 1980, he portrayed English navigator John Blackthorne with gripping intensity, earning a Golden Globe. In The Thornbirds, 1983, he played conflicted priest Father Ralph in a sweeping, tragic love story that became the second most-watched miniseries of all time. Born in Los Angeles on March 31, 1934, Chamberlain pursued acting after college and served in the U.S. Army in Korea. Later in life, he publicly came out as gay in his 2003 memoir, Shattered Love, calling it a freeing, long-overdue revelation. With charm, talent, and a deep yearning for artistic truth, Chamberlain left behind a career rich in iconic roles and emotional resonance, one that continues to inspire generations of actors and audiences alike.
They hand me out a flyer, it's kind of like they're saying, "Here, you throw this away."
Mitch Hedberg was a brilliantly unique American comedian, born on February 24, 1968 in St. Paul, Minnesota. Known for his surreal one-liners and offbeat delivery, Hedberg carved out a space for himself in the world of stand-up that was entirely his own. His distinctive style, filled with whimsical observations about everyday life, earned him admiration from comedy legends like Steve Martin and David Letterman, and a devoted fan base that continues to grow long after his passing. Hedberg rose to prominence in the late 1990s and early 2000s with appearances on The Late Show with David Letterman, Comedy Central Presents, and multiple acclaimed albums. Rather than relying on shock or topical humor, his comedy focused on the absurdities of the ordinary: bananas, pancakes, escalators, crafted with a wordsmith's wit and a childlike sense of wonder. Tragically, Hedberg passed away on March 29, 2005, at the age of 37 due to a drug overdose. His death sent waves of grief through the comedy community and left behind an irreplaceable voice. In the years since, his widow Lynn Shawcroft has lovingly preserved Mitch's legacy, holding on to an extensive archive of never-before-heard material, handwritten jokes, audio tapes, and even 16mm footage of his performances. Now, after more than a decade of grief and healing, she is preparing to share his unreleased work with the world, a final gift from a comic genius who helped audiences see life just a little bit differently. While fans eagerly await the chance to hear Mitch's voice again, the upcoming documentary celebrating his life and legacy is still in post-production. No official release date has been announced yet, but when it arrives, it promises to remind the world just how timeless and needed his humor truly is. Roberta Flack was a groundbreaking American singer, pianist, and four-time Grammy winner, whose soulful voice and timeless ballads left an indelible mark on music history. Born on February 10, 1937, in Black Mountain, North Carolina, and raised in Arlington, Virginia, Flack was a classically trained pianist who earned a full music scholarship to Howard University at just 15 years old. She rose to global fame with hauntingly beautiful performances like "The First Time Ever I Saw Your Face" and "Killing Me Softly with His Song," both of which topped the Billboard Hot 100 and earned her consecutive Grammys for Record of the Year in 1973 and 1974, a rare and historic achievement. Her smooth, emotional delivery and elegant interpretations positioned her as one of the most unique voices of her era, often compared to icons like Nina Simone and Frank Sinatra. Flack's career spanned decades, with collaborations alongside Donny Hathaway, Peabo Bryson, and Luther Vandross, and hits like "Feel Like Making Love" and "The Closer I Get to You." Outside of music, she also contributed to television and film, and in her later years, she shared her story through the children's book The Green Piano. Tragically, Roberta Flack passed away on February 24, 2025, at the age of 88, following complications from ALS. Her passing marked the end of a legendary life in music, but her influence, through her voice, her words, and her spirit, continues to resonate across generations. What's your favorite Roberta Flack song? Leave a comment below and share this tribute with your friends to celebrate her timeless legacy.
Pretty. And the sad thing about it, he was
He
pretty.
was pretty. He
That's
really
what
was.
it was. No one
Have you ever wondered what it takes to fall, rise again, and become greater the second time around? George Foreman, the legendary heavyweight boxer turned beloved cultural icon, passed away on March 21, 2025, at the age of 76. Known for his thunderous fists and even bigger heart, Foreman's life was a remarkable story of redemption, reinvention, and resilience. Born on January 10, 1949 in Marshall, Texas, Foreman grew up in Houston's tough Fifth Ward. He channeled a troubled youth into Olympic glory, winning gold at the 1968 Mexico City Games. Just 5 years later, he shocked the world by knocking out Joe Frazier to become heavyweight champion. But his intimidating rise came to a halt in 1974, when he lost to Muhammad Ali in the iconic Rumble in the Jungle. After walking away from the sport in 1977 following a spiritual awakening, Foreman returned a decade later, older, heavier, and more joyful. In one of the most inspiring comebacks in sports history, he recaptured the heavyweight title at age 45, defeating Michael Moorer with a single, perfect punch. Outside the ring, Foreman found a second calling as a preacher, motivational speaker, and wildly successful businessman, most famously as the face of the George Foreman Grill, which sold over 100 million units. Tragically, Big George passed away surrounded by loved ones. His family remembered him not just as a champion, but as a man of deep faith, humility, and love. So what shaped the remarkable final chapter of this boxing legend's life? Do you remember the song that made you believe love could change the world? For many, that song was Get Together, and the voice behind it was Jesse Colin Young, a gentle force who urged a divided America to choose compassion. What are your memories of him? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Born Perry Miller in Queens, New York in 1941, Jesse Colin Young was raised in a musically gifted family. His mother played violin, his father adored classical music, and Young himself found solace in folk and blues, inspired by legends like T-Bone Walker. His early solo work eventually led him to form the Youngbloods, the band that would etch his name into musical history. It was 1969 when Get Together, with Young's aching, hopeful vocals, climbed the Billboard charts. Though originally a modest release, the song's call for love and unity resonated deeply during the turbulence of the Vietnam War era. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now became more than lyrics. They were a cultural anthem. After the Youngbloods disbanded in 1972, Jesse embarked on a solo journey marked by introspective albums like Song for Julie and a commitment to causes he believed in. Despite health setbacks, including Lyme disease, he continued to tour and record well into his later years. Jesse Colin Young passed away on March 16, 2025, at age 83. His voice, however, continues to echo in times when the world needs reminding. Love is still a choice. Did Jesse's music ever move you? Tell us how Get Together touched your life. And let's honor the man who reminded us that unity is possible. Tina Turner, a life of power, pain, and perseverance, remembering the queen of rock and roll. Our latest story remembers a music icon, a survivor, and a true trailblazer. Of course, we're talking about Tina Turner, the electrifying performer who inspired generations. But how much do you love Tina? On a scale of 0 to 10, what grade would you give her for impact on music and culture? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Tina Turner, born Anna Mae Bullock on November 26, 1939, in Nutbush, Tennessee, rose from rural poverty to become one of the most celebrated performers of the 20th century. Her early years were marked by hardship, abandoned by her parents and forced to forge her path through grit and ambition. In the 1960s, she burst onto the music scene as the dynamic half of the Ike and Tina Turner Revue. Hits like Proud Mary and A Fool in Love made her a star, but behind the spotlight was a story of domestic abuse and personal turmoil. In her 1986 memoir, I, Tina, she bravely revealed the abuse she endured during her 16-year relationship with Ike Turner. That raw honesty sparked a cultural awakening, later inspiring the Oscar-nominated film What's Love Got to Do With It and a Broadway musical that bore her name. Tina became more than a singer. She became a symbol of survival and strength. Against all odds, Tina reinvented herself in her 40s. Her 1984 solo album Private Dancer catapulted her to solo superstardom, with chart toppers like What's Love Got to Do With It and Better Be Good to Me. She defied ageist and sexist norms, performing in stadiums across the globe with a fire unmatched by her peers, even dancing in stilettos atop cranes at age 60. Her voice was fierce, her energy boundless, and her presence unforgettable. From the acid queen in Tommy to the formidable auntie entity in Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, she left her mark not just in music, but also in film. She was inducted twice into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, first with Ike, then as a solo artist. Yet life continued to test her. She survived a stroke in 2013, battled cancer, and underwent a kidney transplant in 2017. In 2018, she faced the heartbreaking suicide of her eldest son, Craig. But through it all, she remained the very embodiment of endurance. Tina Turner passed away on May 24, 2023, at her home in Switzerland after a long illness. She was 83. In her later years, she stayed out of the spotlight, finding joy in marriage to German record executive Erwin Bach and producing the musical based on her life. Her final words to actress Angela Bassett were unforgettable. "You never mimicked me. You reached into your soul and showed your inner Tina." So what is Tina's legacy? In her own words, endurance. She never stopped pushing forward. She transformed pain into power and turned silence into song. Her life is proof that it's never too late to rewrite your story. What does Tina Turner's journey mean to you? Did her music or story inspire you in a personal way? Share your reflections in the comments and join us in honoring the legacy of the one and only Queen of Rock and Roll.
Dick Button, still the champ.
Richard Dick Button, born July 18, 1929, was a groundbreaking American figure skater and television personality whose impact on the sport spanned more than 7 decades. A 2-time Olympic gold medalist, 1948, 1952, he became the first skater to land both the double axel and the triple jump in competition. He also invented the flying camel spin and won 5 consecutive world championships, all while attending Harvard. Button later transformed figure skating for television audiences. With his sharp wit, deep knowledge, and unapologetic commentary, he became a fixture on ABC's Wide World of Sports for over 40 years, turning figure skating into a ratings powerhouse during the Winter Olympics. He helped make terms like Lutz and Salchow household words, and was widely respected and feared for his candid assessments of performances and costumes alike. Off the ice, Button was a visionary in sports entertainment. He created the Superstars and the iconic Battle of the Network Stars, expanding the reach of athletes and celebrities alike. He also produced skating shows and championships that created new opportunities for professional skaters. Dick Button died on January 30th, 2025, at his home in North Salem, New York. His daughter confirmed the cause of death was natural causes related to age. He is survived by his children, Emily and Edward. A true pioneer and guardian of figure skating, Button's legacy continues to influence the sport, both on and off the ice.
Unbelievable. And I remember I cut his daughter's hair when I was 7 years old. She was 5 years old. She asked me to give her a haircut, and I cut all her hair off. My dad.
Quincy Jones, one of the most influential figures in 20th and 21st century music, passed away on Sunday night, November 3rd, 2024, at the age of 91. He died peacefully at his home in Bel Air, California, surrounded by his children and loved ones, according to his family. "He is truly one of a kind," their statement read, "and we will miss him dearly." Born in Chicago in 1933, Jones rose from humble beginnings to become a legendary composer, arranger, producer, and civil rights advocate. His career spanned over 7 decades and shaped modern music across jazz, soul, pop, and film. With 28 Grammy Awards and 80 nominations, he remains one of the most decorated artists in history. Jones began his journey alongside a young Ray Charles, with whom he shared a lifelong friendship. After studying at Berklee College of Music, he toured with jazz greats like Lionel Hampton and Dizzy Gillespie, eventually composing for icons like Count Basie, Duke Ellington, and Frank Sinatra. He became the first black executive at Mercury Records and produced timeless hits such as It's My Party and Michael Jackson's Thriller, the best-selling album of all time. He also orchestrated We Are the World in 1985 and scored landmark films like In the Heat of the Night and The Color Purple. Despite suffering a life-threatening brain aneurysm in 1974, Jones returned with resilience, producing for generations of artists and mentoring stars like Will Smith. He was a father of 7, an author, a magazine founder, and a relentless force for creative and social change. Ozzy Osbourne. A life of chaos, music, and resilience. Is this really goodbye? Ozzy Osbourne, the Prince of Darkness, has always been larger than life, a man whose music, antics, and sheer survival have captivated generations. From biting the head off a bat on stage to pioneering heavy metal with Black Sabbath, Ozzy is nothing short of a living legend. But now, at 75, after decades of rebellion, triumph, addiction, and tragedy, it seems Ozzy is ready to say goodbye to the stage, and possibly more. But first, let's talk about Ozzy's legacy. How has his music touched your life? Do you remember the first time you heard Crazy Train or Paranoid? On a scale of 0 to 10, how would you rate his impact on rock music? Let us know in the comments. Your voice matters in honoring this icon. Let's rewind. John Michael Osborne was born on December 3, 1948, in Aston, Birmingham. Raised in a working-class family, Ozzy struggled with dyslexia, abuse, and bullying. He dropped out of school at 15, was arrested for burglary at 17, and spent time in jail. But through it all, music was his escape. He once said the Beatles' She Loves You made him realize he was destined to be a rock star. And he wasn't wrong. In 1970, Ozzy and a few friends formed Black Sabbath, a band that would go on to invent heavy metal as we know it. With ominous guitar riffs and haunting lyrics, their sound was like nothing anyone had heard before. Black Sabbath's success was meteoric, but behind the scenes, Ozzy's life was already unraveling due to heavy drug and alcohol use. By 1979, Ozzy was fired from his own band. But in true Osbourne fashion, he came back swinging. Teaming up with guitarist Randy Rhoads, he launched a solo career that gave us legendary albums like Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman. Songs like Mr. Crowley and Crazy Train cemented his place as a solo rock titan. But the madness didn't stop there. In the early 80s, Ozzy made headlines for biting the head off a dove at a CBS meeting, and then a bat at a concert. These stunts, outrageous as they were, made him infamous. Then tragedy struck. In 1982, Randy Rhoads died in a plane crash. Ozzy was devastated. It was the darkest day of his life, and he admitted he never fully recovered. Ozzy's personal life was no less chaotic. He divorced his first wife, battled addiction relentlessly, and even tried to strangle his second wife, Sharon, during a blackout. But Sharon stood by him, always. She became his manager, his partner in life and business, and his unwavering support through decades of instability. The 2000s brought a new chapter. With the Osbournes reality show, Ozzy became a household name for a new generation. His mumbled speech, wild family life, and unpredictable behavior were both hilarious and concerning. But behind the laughs was a man grappling with serious health issues and a lifetime of substance abuse. Then came 2019, the year Ozzy described as the most painful of his life. A fall dislodged metal rods from an earlier ATV accident, forcing him into major surgery. Around the same time, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, a progressive disorder that would change his life forever. In a heartbreaking update, Sharon revealed in a 2023 interview that Ozzy could no longer walk. The man once known for leaping across stages was now confined by his illness. "We underestimated it," she said. "We thought we could adjust, but it's been far harder than we ever imagined." Still, Ozzy fought on. In his own words, "Survival is my legacy." Even after multiple surgeries, rabies shots, addiction relapses, and near-death experiences, Ozzy Osbourne never gave up. He leaned on Sharon, on his children, and on the music that had always saved him. Now Ozzy is preparing for his final bow. On July 5th, 2025, in his hometown of Birmingham, he will reunite with the original members of Black Sabbath one last time. The event, titled Back to the Beginning, is more than just a concert. It's a farewell to the fans who stood by him through it all. Can you imagine the emotion of that final performance? Ozzy, back where it all began, surrounded by love, history, and decades of rock and roll memories. It's going to be a moment fans, and Ozzy himself, will never forget. Despite his declining health, Ozzy remains as candid and raw as ever. "I've made it to 2025. I can't walk, but I'm still alive," he said on his Sirius XM show. His legs, he says, feel like they have bricks tied to them, but his spirit? Unshaken. That's the Ozzy we've always known. And let's not forget, through his music, Ozzy gave a voice to the misfits, the outsiders, the misunderstood. His concerts felt more like family gatherings than performances. His lyrics spoke of pain, rebellion, and resilience. Whether you were headbanging in the front row or crying alone in your bedroom, Ozzy made you feel seen. So what's next? While the final show may mark the end of his public performances, Ozzy's influence isn't going anywhere. Sharon will ensure his legacy lives on through documentaries, tribute albums, and memorial events. Their children, like Jack and Kelly, have also grown into their own, publicly fighting their own battles with addiction and honoring the resilience they learned from their father. Ozzy Osbourne's story isn't just about a rock star's rise and fall. It's about transformation. From a troubled kid in Birmingham to a global icon, from addiction to recovery, from violence to vulnerability, Ozzy has lived 1,000 lives. And through it all, he's remained unapologetically himself. What are your thoughts on Ozzy's incredible journey? Did his music help you through a tough time? Were you ever lucky enough to see him live? Share your memories in the comments below. And let's give the Prince of Darkness the farewell he truly deserves. He may be saying goodbye to the stage, but Ozzy Osbourne's legacy? That will never die.